Hi, welcome to the first episode ever of Sow Grow, where we help you turn your garden goals into reality. So today, we're talking about basil. Let me get a little bit closer. Okay, that's better. If you're new around here, I'm Chiming, a garden educator and designer here in Los Angeles. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or a beginner, I've got you covered with tips on different growing methods, varieties, and the best time to plant. So let's get growing. First up, let's talk about growing basil from seed. Growing from seed is perfect if you're patient and would like to experiment. Different varieties germinate differently. It depends on the grower, the supplier. To help you remember how picky basil is, think of Goldilocks. Basil is the Goldilocks of the garden. There, I said it. She doesn't like it too hot, too cold, too wet, and definitely not too dry. In other words, make sure to use potting soil with good drainage and high quality potting mix. Keep the soil moist but not wet. If you want to grow basil from seed, I recommend starting them in trays and then transplanting the seedlings because the seeds are so small and once you water, it could displace the seed. Now, the easiest way to get started on growing basil is to just buy a seedling, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just hop over to the nursery and pick up a seedling that looks healthy. Now, I know you've seen the basil plants at the grocery store, and that's okay to start too, but you need to know a couple things. Most of the plants from the grocery store are greenhouse grown. So what does that mean for you at home? Greenhouse grown plants are held under perfect condition by experts. They are fed well, they have perfect lighting, which is probably not what you have at home. Whereas at the nursery, hopefully it's been sitting outside, so it's been acclimated to real sun and elements outdoors. Let's say you already bought the grocery store basil, or it's just looking too tempting. This is what I would do. You're gonna bring it home, set it in a shady spot, make sure it's moist for a couple days. Then you're gonna bring it out, observe how it's doing. Is it stressed? Is it doing okay? After a few days, if it's doing okay, go ahead and plant it out in your garden. It's that easy. The difference is when you have a nursery grown plant, it's already been acclimated, the work's been done. You can just plop it into your garden. Now, if you're curious and you're up for an experiment, try growing basil from cuttings. It's one of the fastest and easiest way to make a lot of basil plants. So we take a cutting from the plant. You want to pick a cutting that is not from the woody part of the basil. Let me show you. Then you're gonna take your basil cutting and put it in water near a bright window. Over the next couple weeks, you're gonna baby this thing. You wanna change out the water daily and just watch the roots grow. And once the roots are established, you can plant your cutting. Here's a bonus tip for you. When you're planting out your basil cutting, it might experience some transplant shock. So try to plant it out in the late afternoon so the hottest part of the day is past us. Also, plant it into pre-moistened soil for the best results. So now for my favorite part, talking about varieties. I read somewhere there are more than 150 plus types of basil, but you don't want to eat all of them. They're not all culinary varieties. But we'll go over 4 different culinary varieties. The most common is sweet basil. It's known for its large, tender leaves with a sweet, peppery flavor, and it's great for pesto and salads. Next up, one of my favorites, Thai basil. The leaves are generally smaller and darker and have a distinct anise flavor. It's a crucial part of Asian cuisine, in Thai curries and Vietnamese dishes too. Holy basil, also known as tulsi, it's revered for its medicinal qualities. It's most often used in teas and traditional remedies. And here's one more, lemon basil. Lemon basil has a hint of citrus in the aroma and taste, making it wonderful for teas, lemonades, and desserts. Now that I've shared my favorites, I'd love to know if you have some favorite basil too. I actually sometimes use them in bouquets. And one more bonus variety I forgot to mention, African blue basil. I grew up for the bees. The flavor is not so great for culinary purposes. It can get a little bit bitter, but it's fantastic for the pollinators. Now let's talk about how to care for these guys. This is my Tulsi up front, all volunteer plants because I reused the soil where the mother plant was. I dropped all its seeds and now I have this bed here is 8 feet from me to the wall, all full of Tulsi, self-grown, self-seeded. And right here, maybe you can see it, this is my Thai basil. So how do I grow amazing basil majority of the year? Basil is a warm weather crop. It prefers temperatures over 70 and it doesn't like it too hot either. I would say under 80 if you're gonna grow it in full sun. Here in Southern California, I have a really big grow window. I actually grow food year round. But if you're in an area where your window is a lot shorter and cut off by frost, you can start your seeds and your plants inside and then plant it out when the weather is warmer. Basil will not tolerate temperatures much under 65, and definitely not when it dips. Those random cool nights that dip like a 30-degree swing basil will be stressed out. On this side of my garden, I have more basil. This particular basil is Thai basil called Thai Towers. This is gifted to me from Pan American Seed, and this is my favorite plant. It's gorgeous, smells amazing, grows so well. I've had this plant since March, and I've transplanted it twice. Look how big this thing is. From there to there. I actually have to cut it back. So basil grows very, very quickly, and you want to harvest often because it will grow even faster. One more reason why I love this Thai Towers, there's no flowers. When basil starts to flower, the flavor changes. While it's amazing for the beneficial insects, it doesn't taste quite right. Of course, I do let my basil go to flower. It is part of the natural cycle. And as you can see with my Tulsi, it self-seeds, and I never have to buy it again. So what you want to do, you can see at each section of the plant, there is a node. You want to cut right above the node. So in this case, I'm going to cut deeper. I'm going to cut right here. And you'll see here, there are 2 little leaflets on each side, and it's going to branch out. These are all going to branch out. So now, I've harvested. If I were going to take a cutting, I would actually use this softer piece and not, this is a little woody already and will not root as easily, but I would use these pieces up here. And there you have it. All you need to know to grow gorgeous basil all season long. If you learned something new, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode of Sow and Grow, where I help you reach your garden goals. I'll see you in the next one.